Welcome to Causing Chaos, the Trouble Show. Part interview, part therapy, part shit show. I'm Emma Barry and we are chatting with troublemakers, risk takers and rule breakers. People with a healthy disregard for the status quo. People who choose a different path. Those who lean into their inner mischief and share the ruckus they are creating. It is my great hope that we ask the risque questions, play some games, drop some inspo on the world and offer a masterclass in dialing up trouble for good. Let's go. So hi everybody, welcome to the Trouble Show, Causing Chaos. Our troublemaker today is awesome. Peter Taunton, and he's done it all. He's built brands, he's casually opened 6,000 doors in franchising, he's got hobbies on the side, he delivers all sorts of value, and we're taking a gloves off in our session today. So our title is The Topics You Don't Talk About at Thanksgiving. Now, I read Peter when I first met him, I thought, this guy is not backward and stepping forward. So we are looking forward to your brutal honesty and someone that's kind of done it all from end to end. You've built these amazing brands, handed them off to businesses, and you're constantly consulting and looking for the next opportunity to scale. So welcome to the show. It's great to have you on.
Emma, great being here. I've looked forward to this. I just love the whole premise of your show because it's not often that you can take the gloves off and really be yourself and be candid. And that's what I'm here for you and for your audience today, that really nothing's off the table, and feel free to ask away on anything.
Oh, and I will. And, that's one of the problem. And we both operate in the health and wellness fitness thing. And I podcast on a lot of channels, and often we have to be relatively PC because we kind of know the whole industry and you don't want to offend anyone. And you know that this is capitalism at its best, right? You can't tell anyone bad news because you've got staff, members, investors, the public, Wall Street, you've got all these people to keep happy. So I'm really, really excited to have this conversation. So it's part interview, so we will get, some questions out of you. It's part therapy in the sense that I'm sure you will drop some nuggets for the audience as well. And it's also part shit show. So kind of anything goes. We can swear, we can go where no one's gone before, all of that good stuff. But look, just in your words, who are you? What are you doing to contribute to this world?
It's a great question, and I'm nothing more than what you see. But I always like to share with the audience that I am living proof that the American dream is alive and well, and capitalism does exist at its finest. And a little background on myself: I grew up myself and an identical twin. We're the youngest of 7 kids, and we grew up in a small town, a small little rural town in Minnesota. I went to school in a 2-room schoolhouse. I had the opportunity to work for my father in his small grocery store in that little hometown. I went to college and quit college my junior year because I had to pay for my own school, like many people do. And I just felt like I was digging a hole. I just felt like college was not for me. And I had an opportunity to turn around a failing health club at a very early age. I was about 21, 22 years old. And, my compensation for that position was, if you can turn this failing health club around, we will let you buy us out with the profits. Well, when you have nothing and when you come from nothing, that's your window of opportunity. And I always say opportunity doesn't knock, it whispers. So for me, I had no plan B. I took it and obviously was able to turn that health club around. I was able to buy all the partners out. And I didn't know at the time, now that was about 40 years ago. I didn't know that was going to be my springboard, Emma, to building one of the largest wellness brands in the world. But it just goes to show, with faith and believing in yourself and timing and hiring great people, anything's possible. So that's kind of the backdrop on me.
Oh, that's awesome. So many questions for me popping up because I was wondering, how does Miami and Minnesota fit in the same sentence? So thank you for joining that loop. So that's the first thing. Secondly, and you're there right now, so obviously you still have strong roots to home. I guess home is always where the heart is, I guess. And then,
yeah. And you know what, Emma, the truth of it is Miami is hotter than Dutch love in the summer. So I go back to my lake home. This is a home that I've owned for about 15 years. I love it. I spend 4 months of the year here, and then I go back to Miami in the fall.
Great. That's awesome. And then I just wanted to pick up on your entrepreneurial. So first of all, who's the better twin? Who's the better looking twin? Do you have those arguments?
I can't answer that. You'd have to probably ask our significant others, I guess.
Oh, that's funny. And tell me, did your twin follow a similar line? Because what I'm getting into here is you had nothing, you had no plan B. You can say that, and yet people still don't do the things that you did. They don't take necessarily, there has to be something inside you that goes, I'm going to give this a shake, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Look, the first part of your question was my twin, did he follow a similar path? He followed the entrepreneurial path and he's very successful in his own right. Okay.
Right.
So done very well and very diligent. He has a lot of grit and he's very determined. So he's built great companies and exited great companies. So he has it. And I think the common thread of he and I, not all that dissimilar from other people who have acquired wealth through capitalism. It's that underlying, that determination, that believing in themselves, that grit, that to persevere, keep plowing through difficult times. There's no easy path, right? And for us, we were just determined. That's a great way to do it. We held ourselves accountable. We had great discipline and focus, and we had an inherent ability to inspire people around us because, when your team is inspired, that's when the magic happens. You can't do it all by yourself. You'll never grow a great brand by yourself. It's just not possible. There's too many moving pieces to the big equation if you're going to get trajectory and growth. So you've got to empower people to make decisions and manage and coach and mentor where need be.
Yeah, and you constantly move on. You're constantly, like you say, handing the keys to the kingdom back to whoever, the investors, the group, the buyers, whoever. So everything you're saying is true. You cannot be a part of that picture in order to scale and to pass and move on, right? Like the whole point
Exactly.
is to build something for others that serves the world in some meaningful way and then move on. Do you have to move on? Like, is that something that drives you? Do you get bored in the same thing, or do you just get it to a potential and then have to leave? Like when does that little bell ring and you go, right, I'm done, I'm off?
The first brand I ever created, Snap Fitness, that evolved into Lift Brands because once I had created the infrastructure for Snap Fitness, I realized very quickly that I could go ahead and create other wellness brands
Right.
under that same umbrella because I already had the infrastructure in place. So Lift Brands, I still am the single largest shareholder of Lift Brands individually. I own about 22% of that brand. I've had two different exits of that company and I will eventually exit. So I'm not emotionally tied to them. That's a great way to put it. I don't get emotionally tied. It's not my little baby that I'm afraid to let go of. But as long as I see opportunity, I hold and build and then exit at the appropriate time. I will exit Lift Brands in the next 3 years, I would guess. But then the other brands, I have different capacity. In many brands, I get equity to build the brand, and then I get paid on the exit or on the fair market value of the company when I exit. And those are all very, notable and worthy projects of mine that obviously I get paid for the value that I bring. And so it just makes sense for me. It gives me the flexibility in my schedule that I look for at 62 to be able to have the flexibility and the balance in my life that I yearn for that I probably didn't have in my early 40s.
Right, I get that. So you travel at 10,000 feet. You're looking at the market. Obviously, we've got interest rates and inflation and stuff stuff happening, in PR land and all of that. How do you strategically manage your life? Like you say, oh, I'm probably going to be out of lift in the next 3 years. Like, what's guiding you to make that decision? Is it a timing in the market? Is it a personal timing?
You're exactly right. I think to be accountable as an entrepreneur or CEO flying the plane, you need to pay attention to what's going on the ground. And post-COVID has been a very interesting time to launch anything. Obviously, inflation's through the roof. Consumer spending habits have done a complete paradigm shift, and you got to pay attention to it. So for us, it was a very challenging time to build one of my brands, Nautical Bowls. Very challenging. We still grew the company, but the stores struggled, and it was by nothing other than the consumers' spending habits had shifted. And what did we do? We adapted the business model. When I saw that happening, I immediately made the footprint smaller. So the cost to open a store was significantly less, 25-30% less. The unit level economics, the store would break even on less revenue. Those were all adaptations that I made coming out of COVID, because early COVID, the stores were performing at high levels. People were fat and happy and spending money.
Right, that's right. And it sort of, in a way, draws a parallel to what we're seeing in the fitness world as well, isn't it? If you look at the absolute, rise of the HVLPs, because, it's more cost effective. I'm getting a whole lot of value for not much money. So we're sort of seeing that as well. And you kind of did that to your own brand by, putting it into startup costs, I guess, sort of reducing that. I love that. My first question for you in this little interview is, what is the one thing you were told would never work out for you that did?
Well, there was many. When I started Snap Fitness, there was a lot of doubt in the playing field there because it is such a competitive space. The fitness space has always been competitive, and I've been in that space for 40 years. It's always been competitive. It's not going to change. The faces change. The brands have a little twist here and a little twist there. And I always say it's the hardest dollar that you'll ever make because it is so competitive, and the barrier to entry in the fitness space, let's face it, when the boutique fitness space was on fire, it was partially due to you had all these personal trainers that were out there that were certified that had built their book of business, and they said, hey, I'm just going to go rent a 2,500 square foot little warehouse. I'm going to put some equipment in there, and I'm in business, and I've got my clients here that'll follow me over there. So it's very, very competitive. So for me, there was always the doubters out there saying, hey, Peter, don't put your life savings in this, which I didn't have my life savings at that time when I started Snap Fitness, it was not a lot. So I had to be all in. I started Snap Fitness with my own money, no partners. And I'm so thankful that I did. Once I started getting traction, and this is for all your entrepreneurs out there, if you've got something that you know is working, where 1 + 1 can equal 3, you're going to have no shortage of people knocking on your door wanting to throw money at you. But understand that the first capital you take is in most cases the most expensive. They're going to want more of your equity. And if you think you can deliver this to the promised land, there's not a better bet to make than the bet on yourself. And that's what I did. When I started Snap Fitness, I ran that company and grew it for 5 years before I took an exit. And the first time I took an exit, my company was valued at 100 million, which was unfathomable for me, Emma. Honestly, I didn't realize that what I had built was worth as much as it was. I was shocked by it.
Right.
So I sold 40% of it. And then in 5 years later, 6 years later, I took another bite of the apple and my company was valued at 200 million. So I sold another chunk. So I've always invested in what I create as opposed, and now at my age, I believe in diversity. I have real estate and a number of different things, but on the flight up, I was betting on myself. And that's a safe bet if you really believe in what you see in the mirror.
Right. And we hear that again and again. So that's a great lesson is prove it out, prove it out. Is this going to fly? Because you've got to know as well, right? It's got to have market fit. It's got to add value. The other thing you said earlier, which I really liked, and this is what's brought so many businesses undone before, during, and after COVID is unit economics. You got to make money. Like we went through the boutique phase. I remember at some point it was like, get to 10 and then you'll finally make money. Are you freaking kidding me? Like,
yeah. That's bad advice.
Yeah.
That's bad advice. Get to 10 and you'll make money. Look, if it doesn't make money at 1, in most cases, it doesn't make money at 3, and it just exacerbates itself at 10. That's the truth. Okay. And a lot of people don't realize it. And a lot of people also don't realize, get away from these pet projects that you have. What ends up getting in the way, Emma, is pride and ego that they just won't pull the chute on it. Pivot, do something else. I see it every day, and I try to talk people through how to rebrand and unwind something that's not working.
Right. Peter, why are you so fearless?
I don't know that I'm fearless, truly, Emma. I have sleepless nights just like anyone out there does. That's the truth. I learned to manage the chaos, and I learned to be comfortable in my decision. Before I jump in, I'm very diligent on what I am, what I see in front of me, what I need to change, and how I intend to roll it out. So that I think is one of my gifts, that I can see how I can bundle this to deliver value to the consumer, which is my audience. Right. How can I bring value? I don't care if it's a product or a service. How do I bring more value to what I'm bringing to the table? And that's what I look at. So it's not a matter of fear. It's a matter of just diligence and confidence.
Right. That's right. And then backing yourself. If you think back, I mean, I'm sure you don't strike me as the guy who lives regrets, but if you think back, what were some hard lessons to you? What are some of the things that didn't go to plan, even though you did your diligence and backed your decision?
One of the most important lessons, and this is living proof that it can happen at any stage of your life. It literally just happened to me. I had at this age, okay, I have a young couple that approaches me to build a brand for them. They call me out of the blue, which is so unprecedented nowadays. My phone rings. I'm in this office, and it's a couple of kids, a couple of 26-year-old kids, and they say, "Hey, we've heard a lot about you, read about you. Can we come over? We'd like to show you our business." So they come over the very next day because I love talking to young entrepreneurs with fire in their belly, and they were this, strong Christian couple. Anyway, long story short, I tell them, if it were me, I would franchise your business. You're going to need to change some things. And paraphrasing this, they said, if you could run it for us, we'll give you 30% of the company. So look, I took them up on their offer, and the contract that we put together, collectively, there was trust involved. I trusted them. They trusted me. Well, here I am now, 3-4 years later. I built the brand, put the infrastructure, hired the team, even bankrolled the company to an extent over the 4-year period, gave them $700 and some odd $1,000 as personal loans, and come to find out, as a minority shareholder, get completely voted out of the company. Okay. I mean, it can happen to this couple that I trust. And I look at it. Look, it's not going to change my lifestyle one bit, Emma. But for me, now it's a place of principle. Now, what do I need to do? I need to hire my attorneys and say, look, you can remove me from operating the company. You have that right because you have the majority shares, and no problem. I've got other things I can do. But to take my equity and to tell me that the company has no value, now I want to take issue with that. And, I try to talk some sense into them, saying this is not a path we need to go down. Okay, this is you're being greedy, and I didn't see this out of you in a million years. I would not have scripted this. So part of it is on me for trusting. And I trusted, and now I got to chase them down to get my 30% equity and get some sort of value, because my whole payday was based on the exit of the company. Okay. Everything I built was so think about that. What a great scenario for me. I'll build your brand for you, and you're not going to pay me anything. I get paid on the exit. So talk about putting your money where your mouth is, right? Right. But I got burned on it. Not the end of the world. Don't feel sorry for me. I'm not going to be in the soup line tomorrow, but it's a great lesson learned, Emma, right? These little bastards, they did me wrong. It is what it is.
You touch on such a point that I'm really negotiating in my mind right now. I don't know if you've seen, there's a great little movie that my husband and I watched the other day, Forgotten Love. It's a Polish love story. It's so wholesome and beautiful and amazing. And it really was a story around people who either held to their principles their whole life or didn't. And it's a beautiful story wrapped around that. And we sat there and we went, oh my God, this is where we're at. We're at the point now that our word is not our word, or it's just a matter of the number, or, and we've just been pulled and divided, and it's so divisive, and we're going to get to that soon. So it's kind of sad that you can't have a handshake, and that we do have to get the suits involved, and things change over time. You're spending time in different rooms, you're having different conversations, people start dialing up well, you're worth more than this, and you're like, well, I put, so it just becomes this division, right?
And you know what? It's you're exactly right, Emma. I completely concur with you that it's unfortunate that you've gotten to that place. But I try to find a silver lining in things, because otherwise I'll just drive myself crazy. I still need to go after them for my 30%. But I say, look, as a result of doing this, it opened up more doors. It brought more exposure, because people from an arm's length were observing what I was doing, which brings more credibility to who I am and what I'm capable of. So, as soon as that happened, now I've got 2 other franchise brands that have approached me. Hey, look, will you help us? Right. And I don't do it for money. I do it purely for equity. And I don't get paid unless I build something great. It's pretty simple, and it's unfortunate, but lesson learned. And on those 2 companies now, I tell them, hey, look, I've got to have everything buttoned down, because as a minority shareholder, I'm not going to get pushed out. I'm not going to build something great and then get squeezed. Right. So that's the road rash, and that's the carnage of getting burned once by a couple of strong Christian values that completely, blatantly screwed me. End of story.
Weren't strong Christian values, as it turned out.
No, it's right. Complete greed, and however they rationalize with it is on them. But it's complete bullshit. They had nothing when they came to me, and now they have a business that's that's probably worth somewhere between 12 and $15 million, which is
Right.
not bad for a 3-year-old company.
Really not bad. So my next question is going to take us into the next thing. We're going to pretty much put the gloves on now. So what law would you ban if you ruled the world?
Well, look, in the United States, it's not a law, but it's a policy. To me, I would put term limits on any government official. Okay, term limits, period. These 20, 30-year politicians, I think they've got our country to where it is today. You know what? Capitalism is hanging on by a thread. And, our government is bloated and just a cesspool of corruption. If you could do 2 terms and you're done, you'd get savvy entrepreneurs that would step in, that would run the country like a business. Okay. That would be fiscally responsible. They know they've got 2 terms and then they're off. In the political world that we're in right now, the complete shit show that's out there. And look, I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, it's a shit show on both sides. You know what? And the better of the two, in my opinion, is Trump, just because it's going to take someone like him to go in and unravel the shit that has happened the last 4 years. Suddenly everyone has a voice. It's just crazy. If you want to be a tranny or whatever your preference is, you be you, but don't push it on me and don't push it into the schools and onto my children. That's just, they've just gone too far with it, personally. Biden, no surprise, you got what you got. Everyone expected that. You got a babbling fool, incoherent, and can't string a sentence together. We knew that going in. But then you got Trump on the other side. If he could get out of his own way, all he wanted to yap about was the frickin' border. Okay, right. After you said it the 10th time, leave it alone. How about talking about our foreign policy, that we're literally the laughing stock of the world? We went from the powerhouse to the freaking laughing stock. It's like we have no pride anymore. And it's not until people come into this country that meet the people that say, look, what's going on in Washington is bullshit. Nobody believes in it. But you know what? We own it because we elected these officials in here. And if you think that they're going to invoke term limits on themselves, good luck. You can't unwind that shit show that we're living in right now. We got to lay in that bed. And it's really unfortunate. We're overtaxed and the government runs our show. It's a freaking racket and everybody's tired of it, unless you're in the mindset of socialism. The rich are going to fund the programs, which isn't right. The nonsense that the rich don't pay taxes, people don't understand that. I pay a ton of taxes. And if I ever went into a year where I didn't pay taxes, it's because some of my endeavors didn't work. I took huge losses to offset my gains. Most people can't understand how government works. You know what? And thank God you can still do that. You can invest millions of dollars into an endeavor. And if you lose that, despite hiring people and supporting family lifestyles, if it doesn't work out, you don't get completely burned. If you have a gain somewhere else, you can offset that, which keeps capitalism alive. Okay. It takes people like myself, even though I've taken losses in my career, I still step up to the plate with a bat in my hand with the desire to take a cut. I'm not just posing. I'm not flexing. I'm at the plate to take a cut at the ball and try to hit another, bunt, single, or grand slam if I can.
What are some things that need to be righted in your view?
Well, look, I'd start with the border because that's a complete shit show. And I don't think anyone in this country that has critical thinking skills has an issue with people following a process to become citizens of this country. That's what we were built on. We're the melting pot of the world. That's the beautiful part of this country. But for the love of God, you can't fly to Mexico and just walk across the border with a backpack and show up and get a citizenship card and 3 square a day. I mean, come on, get a process. I'd start with that. I would work on trying to get, smaller government. Okay, smaller, more efficient government. Once again, these are big wish lists. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. And then take a good hard look at how far we've slipped in education and just the policy within education. Some of this nonsense that you see needs to be put back to where it was. The last 4 years, we've gone through this period where we're trying to rewrite history. People are tearing down statues and just trying to rewrite. Hey, look, I think every one of us has done something in their life that they're ashamed of and they wish they hadn't done. But you've got to own it. You can't erase it. You can't deny it or say, I'm different now. You can say those things, but at one point in your life, you were capable of doing that and you did it. So it's part of history. going back to slavery and everything from slavery to where we are today. I mean, own it, tearing the damn statue down. All it's doing, it's pointing out a point in time where this is who we were. And as sad and unfortunate as it is and who they were, we had to get through that to get to where we are today. And that's part of the growing process.
Yeah, it's interesting. I had that exact experience. I was in Berlin recently, and it was my first visit there. And just to actually walk through all of that history, and I wasn't even fully aware of the role that America played over there. And then, there was the East. I mean, it was such a history lesson to me. I went on lots of walking tours, and exactly that. There was an ownership. There was but not a glorification. It was just an acknowledgement. And I don't know, it felt really healthy the way
Yeah,
that
and
the story.
yeah, and you don't have to be proud of it. I mean, as a country.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's true for every country. They've had that moment where they're like, man, we really blew that. How could we have thought that way? We talk about slavery, but even Indians, how they got completely screwed, right? We signed treaties and then renege on them. I mean, just blatant dishonesty, greed. That was it, and that's unfortunate, but it's history.
And genocide, right? In all sorts of forms.
All of it.
So what happens if we go into COVID 3.0 or something like that? What's your views on how we manage that next time? I don't know who won the Olympic Games of COVID, to be honest. Everyone says they won, but I'm not really sure.
I think, you know what, if it happens today, if our government is successful at reining the COVID theory nonsense bullshit, if they're successful in that again, I think it's going to play out very differently. Okay. The nonsense of wearing a mask into a restaurant, but when you sit down, you can take it off. Okay. Just that and it's on its face is ridiculous. And I even wonder today when I see people wearing a mask, unless they have a cold or something that they're trying to contain, I'm good with it. But if you're wearing the mask because you're still one of these people that believe it's COVID safe, and I have no hope for you. I mean, you're just you are such a sheep, such a follower that I can't help you. And what's the plan? What's the game plan for you? Are you going to wear that for the next 50 years? Most people, when it was mandated, they were livid. They were miserable. Think about this, Emma. All the people that were forced to get a vaccine and then come to find years later when things unraveled that it's just bullshit. The vaccine is nonsense. You still caught it. And the only thing they can say is, well, you got a less serious version. Bullshit. Okay. And people like myself, I had a fake prescription. Okay. I never got the shot. And I traveled the world. I had COVID. I probably got COVID twice. I got it early on coming back from Thailand before people were even calling it COVID. And then I got it again about 6 months ago. It was a non-event. Look, I felt a little under the weather, but it didn't drop me on my heels. Look, some people it does, but you notice you don't hear about the flu anymore. Flu's gone. Okay. COVID is the new flu. It's the damnedest thing. It's just ridiculous. Yeah. So I hope that the people make a stand and they say, look, I'm not falling for this bullshit anymore. And I'm going to live my life. You're not keeping my kids home from school. That was a train wreck. You can't mandate it at the job. I just hope that there's enough people that are going to make a stand to make it more subjective for those who want to can do it.
Right. We live near Huntington Beach, and no amount of gold in the world was going to allow that beach to be closed. It was, it was pretty strong. And that was even the forces as well. Like, it was a whole community. I mean, this is just ridiculous. It doesn't make sense. It's outside and it's not happening. So let's turn your critical eye to franchising. So there's been a lot of stuff in the news lately. We've had the exponential shit. Everyone's jumping on franchising regardless of your brand. We've got European brands coming over. We've got Aussie brands coming over. What's your view on franchising? Is there a real strong future in it? What are you seeing? And then what are some views on Expo?
Look, franchising, regardless of where it's from or where it originates from, as long as it's on its face value, it delivers value to the consumer. Okay, because that's where it starts. If the dogs aren't eating the dog food, it's not a business. So it's got to be a product or service, and the consumer has to see the value in it. That's number one. Number two, if you want to have success in it, there's got to be scalability to it. Okay, I look at franchises monthly that people throw in front of me, and I tell them it's too technical. Okay, It's too technical. And the more technical you make this business, the narrower your customer base becomes. So it gets really thin. So do I think you might be able to sell a few of these? Yes, but you're not going to scale it into what you think you can unless you dummy this thing down. All right. Consumer friendly. It's got to deliver value to the consumer. It's got to be scalable. And then the more affordable it is to get into the business. Because obviously, the more you have to spend again, whatever the ante is to get in, if it's 400,000 versus 150,000, the lower the price, the broader your audience. Okay. Right. Those are the fundamental basics of it, of right. Winning.
Right. But do you segment that? Like, do you think, well, this is a franchise, it's got higher barriers, high cost of entry, stuff like that, but I would still do it on a smaller footprint? Do you think like that, or do you like everything to go big?
I personally don't get involved in the franchise unless I can build, at least hundreds of them. Okay. I don't want to get into something and build 50.
Right.
All right. It's just not worth my time. I'm not that guy, but just for me, if I'm going to do it, I have the ability to build, grandiose brands. I've built 3 brands to over 1,000 locations each. Right. And this last brand I did in 3 years, I sold 190 territories and opened close to 80 stores. Right. So that's lightning speed. Okay. Right. So that's what I look for. I look for something that I can make an impression with and plug it into my network of people that I've worked with in franchising for the last 20 plus years.
Right, great. So give us some commentary on, I guess, Expo, Planet. I mean, you've got Pure, you've got a whole lot of, what's some of your thoughts around some of those big brands?
And look, all of them, they're all doing a great job of evolving into what the consumer is looking for. I mean, if you think about, Planet used to be this no grunt zone, $10 a month deal. And their whole premise was, I'm going to sell 10,000 of these things at $10 a month, and a very small percentage are going to actually use it. And it's going to be so cheap, they're not going to cancel. And their bet was right. Okay. Their bet was right. But then early on, some people stepped up, followed that model. Well, now if you look at Planet, they're trying to evolve a bit, and they've done a nice job of evolving. They try to bring a few more amenities, get away so much from the no grunt zone, that tongue-in-cheeky kind of thing, and try to be perceived as more as a, hey, look, if you're looking to get fit and get in shape, we've got a viable product here at a very affordable price. So they're trying to position, and they've done a nice job doing it. Then the other players are evolving, because when the boutique space came in, people tried to get that boutique kind of a club. I'm part of this unique fraternity, this real camaraderie that they were getting with it. And that was replicated. When you look at Snap Fitness, Anytime Fitness, they've all evolved like very, very nicely. They have functional training areas. PT is very prevalent. A great fitness offering. Everything I need under one roof. I'm not fighting for parking spots. All of that screams value to the consumer. And then some people need the big box, the Lifetime Fitness, the Good Lives of the world. What my friend Leon down in Australia, his brand that he's building, very nice high-end feel, a lot of nice touch points, very diversified. So there's room for everyone in every one of those segments. Fitness is here to stay because vanity is here to stay. All right. Right. And people realize today you'll never out exercise a bad diet. So eating sensibly and moving your feet pays dividends. That's here to stay.
Right. Where are you in the wellness? I guess the recovery. Like, are you a believer of all of that? You think that'll spin out just like other concepts have?
Yeah, well, look, I looked at a cryotherapy business a few years ago, and it's too much of a one-trick pony. Okay, right. It's still too niche.
Too easy to pull into a club environment, right? Like, which is also what we're seeing around boutiques, as everyone just, because you do eventually get fatigued running around town, wondering if there's a shower in a car park, and just going, shit, maybe I'll just join,
And you know what? You're seeing, I think a hot space that's out there right now is the biohack space. Right. That's
very bio, yeah.
Yep, you go in, they're drawing blood. I mean, the place that I go to is called Biohack out of Miami. They have cryotherapy, they've got red light therapy, they've got some equipment to use. They're drawing blood quarterly. They're giving you the complete profile, and every quarter it changes. And I'm a big believer in it, okay, because it's preventative. And, the cryotherapy component, there's no denying it. In the old days, it was just, you did a cold plunge. Yeah. I mean, You took an ice bath. I mean,
Yeah.
that's been around forever. So it's there. I just don't know, Emma, that you could build a business on it. So I like it when they're consolidating some
Yeah.
of these services and bringing value that way.
Yeah, I mean, if we even just look at the boutique space, which followed the retail space, right? So we went from department stores to boutiques, then we went back to department stores with experiences with all the boutiques within them. So, we're sort of in that evolution. Of course, there'll be
Yeah.
the special outliers. You've got your Barrys and people who probably had enough brand equity, but I'm sure they challenge in new markets when you're up against other stuff. It's really interesting. My next question for you, because we're going to close this out shortly. What's a secret you've never told anyone?
A secret I've never told anyone. Boy, you know what? I mean, people are surprised, but you know, public speaking for me is not something I enjoy. Okay. Which sounds crazy because and I've had to do it and I muscle through it. It's self pressure. And I'll
Right.
tell you why. Every time I get in front of a group, I feel like I've got to give this Martin Luther King I had a dream speech. You know what I mean? So I'm much better
I'm
now.
happy to coach you on this. This is
Yeah.
crazy. Like
No,
speaking to people is just like speaking like this.
no, exactly. So now what I do, the only form of public speaking I do is if I'm on a stage, and I just did this down in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm on a stage and it's Q&A. So they'll have a moderator and the
Right.
moderator will ask me some questions, but
Yeah.
I do my best work, in my opinion, when it's on the fly and
Right.
they're handing a mic around the audience. And I
Right.
did that for 4 hours in Tulsa and it was,
Perfect. So you're public speaking then. That's hilarious. Oh,
yeah,
you're
right.
so funny.
I know it drives me crazy, Emma. It drives me crazy. Okay.
Oh, that's great. Look, I've got a question from my last guest for you, and that is if you hadn't done franchising, if this hadn't been what you've done with your life and you couldn't do anything related to franchising, what do you think you would have done as a career?
Well, I think I probably would have been in sales or I would have started a business. I don't know what it is. It would have been something that that I'm passionate about, that I would have found a way to, provide or put that into a business type capacity and then try to grow it. It would have been something that I loved, that I could get passionate about because I'm not afraid of hard work and long days. I mean, early on in my career, when I was 22 and I had that opportunity to turn around that failing health club, I was not afraid of long hours. And because I knew this was my break and there's no plan B. So that's what I would have done. I wouldn't have done it. It would have been something I loved though. And I would have had fun doing it and I would have built a great business, I'm sure.
We're going to close out soon. Is there any shameless plugs you want to do? I mean, you talk about you're still obviously got lots of deals running across your desk. Who is the perfect person or group of people to come to you? What are you looking for? You mentioned that you're exiting some other stuff. You're probably looking at new things. Um,
Yeah.
who should find you?
If you want to find me, there's one place to go. Go to my Instagram, which is just look, it's not, I don't have some clever name and I'm not selling anything, but it's just Peter underscore Taunton, which is Taunton. That's my Instagram handle. Follow me. I do respond and people ask me questions there all the time. It's me doing it. Okay. So if it's a legitimate question and not something silly like are you married or how much money do you, if it's not like that, I'll answer it, right? So if you just keep it, pretty straight, I'll answer your question. But it is me that does it.
What would be some last advice? I mean, this has just been incredible. Thank you so much for your honesty and just I really like there's such a short distance between what you feel and think and then actually expressing it. And I think we're in a
Yeah.
world that's become so PC and so fluid and like it's just really nice to have a straight conversation. What would your final words of wisdom be to our audience?
I would look, and I'm not here to be Tony Robbins, but I will tell you that anything is possible. Like for me, when I got my first break at 22, I was 40 years old before, from 22 to 40, my net worth was $3 million. That was every penny I had to my name. And from 40 to 47, it was $100 million. And then in my mid 50s, a couple $100 million. Anything is possible. And there's never a time, you're never too old. We're our worst critic. And I tell people all the time that I get people that approach me and say, look, I'm 60, Peter, I'm long in the tooth to do that. And I say, bullshit, you're not. Get that mindset out of your head. 60, by the way, my friend, 60 is the old 40. So
Right.
make no mistake about it. You can do this. And you've got in your head that people are retiring at 65. If you love doing it, you don't need to retire. It's nobody's controlling your retirement. This is you. So that's what I tell your audience. Look, it's never too late. And if you've got a great idea, and there's people out there that will invest in your great idea. Okay. But you just got to have some level of validation. You got to have something that you can show them to say, look, this is what I'm doing. This is how the audience is responding. And I don't care if it's in your little hometown. This is how my audience is responding. It's very simple to scale that outside of your little town. Pretty soon it's a little town. Then pretty soon it's your county. Then you're doing something statewide. And then you call someone like me and I show you how to make something national or global. Because if the dogs are eating the dog food, providing scale and trajectory to it is the easy part, because that's what people like me do. I look at your systems and processes, I refine, and in some cases, inject the capital if it's necessary to take it to the next level.
Great, absolutely sage advice. And I've just loved this interview. I just thank you so much. I can't wait to meet you. We haven't met, have we? That's crazy.
No, we have not. Well, look.
So I look forward to that at some time. I thank you so much for your wise words and just bullish attitude, and get out there. And I love that. Retirement, what the hell? Like, just do what you do, right? Do what you love, and be in flow with it. But thank you so much. I look forward to meeting you at some point. And thank you for joining us.
You know what, Emma? It was my pleasure. I'm happy to come on anytime you want to bring me on. Okay.
Love that. Okay.
Take care. You're the best. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye. I hope you took a trouble tip from this episode. If so, ring the bell, like it, follow it, and share it. But most importantly, put the lessons into action in your life, in what you do. Remember, you are the beacon of hope. You are somebody's hero. So ignite that spark within, fly in the face of normality, put your spin on things, follow the call of the disco ball, and solve new problems. I love you. Now go stir up some trouble.